Okay, we'll call this meeting to order. Prior to this meeting, council had an executive session. We were discussing personnel and legal matters. So can we start by a moment of silence? But let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance first. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. So, can we have a roll call, please?
Ms. Barrett?
Here.
Mr. Lindsay?
Here.
Mr. Panza?
Here.
Mr. Ray?
Here.
Mr. Romanovich?
Present.
Mr. Carosi?
Present.
Mr. Tentori? Mayor Shank?
Present. The first order of business is an approval of the minutes from February 6, 2023. May I have a motion?
I may.
Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and second. Is there discussions on the minutes? No? Then all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? I believe the motion passed.
That was in here.
Okay, and one abstention. Next, we move to the hearing of the citizens. Is there anyone in the audience tonight that would like to speak? It's first come, first served, so just come up.
Christine Short, 251 Park Edge. Like him or dislike him, Chief Cleary. Sad to see that he left. I'm hoping the next hire that you guys hire has more time than 6 years here in Green Tree. There's been many police chiefs that I have known that had a lot of presence in Green Tree. Chief Cleary was one of them. He was here probably, I think, roughly around 6 years. He made his presence known in Green Tree, whether he was riding his bike over at Oktoberfest, but he was everywhere. So council, the next police chief you hire, I hope they stay here a lot longer than 6 years. Thanks.
Thank you. Next.
Jesse Robinson Evans, 24 Leon Road. Just had a couple things. Website looks great. Really like it. And glass can go in the recycling bin. Great job. Making recycling easier for people probably means more people will do it. So just a couple pats on the back for you. Also, if I'm correct, or what I've been led to believe, the planning and zoning appointment might be me. I mean, I can come back up if you want, but thanks for having me. I'm happy to serve.
Thank you.
We're going to invite you back. Positive stuff.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else that would like to speak?
Kevin Maurer, 42 West Manila Avenue. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am Kevin. I am the president of the Green Tree Garden Club. And with me this evening, I have our vice president and chair of the Planning and Development Committee, Karen Maurer, Dorothy Voith, our treasurer, Gary Baranowski, the immediate past vice president and the chair of our Municipal Garden Committee, and on the end over there is Cheryl Coquet, our secretary. Our purpose of being here this evening is for your consideration to the proposal for the upgrades to the Green Tree Municipal Park Garden. I know that Mayor Schenk has provided you with a copy of that proposal. This came about in the summer of 2022 when we met with Ms. Judy Miller and Council President Art Tentori. We were inquiring as to the procedure to address our needs and concerns with the state of the Municipal Garden Park. We met on August 16th and were advised to put together a detailed proposal with the necessary requests. And as you can see, it is complete with drawings, a timeline, and estimates. It was also suggested that we have a capital campaign to supplement the costs, and we have done so, though we need council approval to go public and permission to move forward with our plans. We were told that this proposal was due by October 15th and would be presented to the council, and eventually a line item in the budget would be added. It was presented with several copies in a timely manner on October 3rd, but unfortunately, we did not receive a response, positive or negative, from anyone regarding our proposal. We would like the council to consider our proposal and give us the green light to move forward with our plans, which will benefit the entire community for years to come. We thank you for your consideration and look forward to meeting with Ms. Barron and the Parks and Public Facilities Committee on Monday, March 20th for further discussion. And we also welcome any questions that you may have regarding this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Question, sorry, Mr. Mayor. You mentioned the capital fund. How is it doing?
Well, thanks to, Karen, you want to address that? Because she's kind of the person in charge of that, so why don't you talk?
Well, we've put it open to the membership and to others that, other businesses and so forth that would like to give to us. And we are very lucky to have quite a substantial amount that we would like to contribute to the plan that we have, although it is not the entire amount. But we even had a generous benefactor, a member of our garden club, that gave us $1,000 toward the capital campaign. So we would like to branch out with that also, and move forward with some of the expenses that we know will be incurred with the plan. But another drawback, though, unfortunately, is that these estimates and so forth were gotten in October, September, and October. I'm sure things have increased, so that's why we feel that this is very timely.
True, but from my understanding is, even though you may have been on the wrong track a couple months ago, everyone's on the same track and things should move forward correctly as of now. All the council is aware of this project, and with the meeting coming up, everything's on the right track to move forward.
We're really glad to hear that.
Okay.
And plus, there's separate categories. There's electric, there's water, there's fence, and 2 sheds from my reading and proposal. I might have missed something, but, that makes it better too, because it can be divided up, or, if council decides, maybe it could be 1, or, it could be from 0 to 5. There's
Yeah.
different options in different years, but thank you very much.
Yes, we as council would like to thank the Garden Club for your efforts, and this project, the whole borough will benefit from. So, we are now on the right track. So things are looking up. Thank you.
I think an apology is in order too, that whatever communication breakdowns that happened, that occurred, we apologize for that, and we'll do better in the future.
Yeah, I did, it's in my report, so I'll address some of it in the report.
Okay, good. Okay, we'll get to that apologies shortly. Okay, so now it's time for new business. Finance and general policy. Mr. Trosi, please.
Thank you. First, I would like to move that we ratify the actions of the borough manager in paying the February 2023 invoices from the general fund totaling $58,885.89, payroll account totaling $205,952.42, and the educational service agency totaling $4,810.35.
Second.
We have a motion and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
That motion passes.
Next, I would like to make a motion to approve the payment of the March 2023 invoices from the general fund, which total $130,027.21. Storm sewer totaling $9,876.33. Sanitary sewer maintenance fund totaling $3,243.76. Capital projects totaling $1,907.94. The bond fund totaling $11,316.09, and healthcare fund in $418.72.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion second. Any discussion? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion passes. It's time to move to planning and zoning. Mr. Ray.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Vice President. As you know, we have an opening on our planning commission board because of a resignation from Mr. Nathan Pazant. So I move that we appoint Jesse Robinson Evans to fill the expired term of Mr. Pazant for a term to expire on December 31st, 2025.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, that motion passes.
Thank you.
I would like to thank Jesse for hanging in there with us.
Yes.
I know he's applied a couple
Yeah,
times so
thank
far.
you.
Jesse, we welcome you. Thank you.
Thanks, Jesse.
Looking forward. Okay, next order of business is public safety. Mr. Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President. First up is the ordinance 1882. Apparently, we need to have a public discussion, give the citizens an opportunity to make comment if they'd like, according to this.
Okay.
Is that accurate,
Well,
Ms. Solicitor?
I think it could have been captured in the hearing of the citizens,
Okay.
but since it's on the agenda as written, just in case anybody waited for now, I
Right.
would suggest we move forward with it.
well, is there any citizens that would like to speak pro or con to the tax credit to qualifying active volunteers of the Green Tree Volunteer Fire Company? If not,
Now, I'd like to speak as a citizen. Okay, I guess I can do that.
Well, we'll handle us under the discussion. I have to
Okay.
get a,
That's
right?
fine,
I
okay.
have to introduce this and get a second, and then you can talk, right?
I was going to speak twice as citizen.
I'd like you to not speak twice. Thank you.
I have a
I'll
flight.
defer to
Yeah,
you.
I actually was gonna, before I voted to bring the ordinance onto the floor, I wanted to give a little background in case there was any questions to it. But I introduced this legislation a number of months ago when it became aware to me through emails that we get from the Pennsylvania Municipal League that there had been a change to the act that we had adopted back in 2018, I believe it was. At the time, we adopted as council to give back tax dollars paid by Green Tree volunteers, qualifying Green Tree volunteers. And the qualifying is done by the fire company itself with a scoring system. Anyone that doesn't meet the minimum requirement does not get the paperwork signed off on by the chief or the president to bring over to the borough to get reimbursed for their tax dollars. So that program stays in place. And so we had adopted it to the maximum allowable by the state at the time. I found out, late last year that back in 2020, the state changed it and increased it. And at that time, I thought it was appropriate for us to adopt the same. I ran this through our committee. We had some questions back and forth. And I just think this is a no-brainer. We still function as a fully volunteer fire company over there. An increase in benefits to them, which is extremely minimal to us, is a no-brainer to continue to operate as a fully volunteer organization that has always served this community very well. Up until this, and this increase, if it passes, the increase from last year, it's unbudgeted this year. The increase is unbudgeted. We have $5,800 in the budget now. That's been based off of what we've given out in years past. There was no reason to increase that number until we pass this. I'm estimating between $13,000 to $15,000 a year, depending on the number of volunteers that qualify for this, because it's only the residents. We have a number of non-resident members in the fire company that we would probably not be able to function without. Unfortunately, this does not pertain to them, and they would not qualify for this benefit. So I just wanted to kind of lay that out. what the changes were and how this came about. And so at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we pass ordinance 1882, amending Chapter 310, Article 9 of the Borough's Code of Ordinances to increase the tax credit available to qualified volunteers of the Green Tree Volunteer Fire Company.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Before the mayor, I just want to add one more thing. Sorry, Mayor. This would be retroactive to the tax year 2022. We do not pay out the rebates to the volunteers until tax season's over, and W-2s can be submitted with the applications for the reimbursement. So this would apply to what we have yet. We usually pay out in April, May, June is when they all come through, that we pass on the bill sheet. So, thank you. There you go, Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
So wait, did you say retroactive to 2022?
2022 tax year.
So it'll be.
What we're
paid this
filing,
April?
correct.
Yeah.
Just like to recognize all the work the volunteer fire company does. They have to do so much training, they spend a lot of time, they have a lot of meetings. We have 4 volunteer firemen in the audience tonight. I'd like the 3 in the back to stand up for a second to recognize them. I know they like recognition. Thank you. Mr. Lindsay here. He's also a volunteer fireman. But thank you for your service there. This is a break on the real estate taxes, borough real estate taxes, not the county, because we can't affect them, and not the school, but it's for the borough real estate taxes and for the local income taxes. We're already doing the local income taxes, and we're already doing the borough real estate taxes, but we're going to do a little more on the borough real estate taxes. But it is hard to get qualified people to be volunteer firemen, and we also like to really thank the non-residents that do it, that don't, as Mr. Lindsay said, don't get the benefit of this tax break. We really couldn't do it without the non-residents also. So thank you for your service.
Mr. Vice President, one more thing. I have a question for the solicitor. So we passed this with ordinance 1781. Why do we not have to repeal that,
Why are we not repealing the ordinance that,
the original ordinance?
we're amending that?
So we can amend it with a new ordinance number?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, so there's multiple provisions.
I just want to
in
make
that
sure we were
ordinance.
doing it right.
Yep, that stand, and so this ordinance still
Yeah.
changes that one, but. that
I
one-
saw the 2 provisions, that the only 2 provisions we're changing is the
Right.
100% and the cap that we instituted. In case we didn't talk about that, we've capped there was a cap before, but we had to raise the cap when we were increasing the benefit.
Correct.
So there is a cap to the residents, to the qualifying volunteers, of what they can receive back.
Correct, but as you
in a given
mentioned,
year.
the qualifications, all of that process is in that ordinance, and none of that has changed.
Perfect. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. All right, Ron,
Okay,
sorry.
Kim, may we have a roll call for this?
Mr. Lindsay?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Romanovich?
Yes.
Mr. Troisi?
Yes.
Ms. Barron?
Yes.
Mr. Panza?
Yes. So I believe that one passed, so.
Thank you, sir. And I appreciate this board's support to the, continued support to the volunteers. Next up, we have ordinance 1883. This is for the salary and benefits for Chief Cleary. The reason why this is on the agenda is we typically give pay raises to all the employees effective January 1st. Colin is able to get his back pay once we pass this of the raise that we were going to give him, whether he was still employed here or not. So this would be primarily to set the new salary and effectively give him his back pay back to January 1st, which is standard with the rest of our employees.
And the termination date would be February 24th, the date of his resignation.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, so you made the motion?
No, I didn't make the motion
Okay.
yet. So I move that we pass ordinance 1883, setting salary and benefits of Colin Cleary as chief of police.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Kim, we need a roll call for this ordinance.
Mr. Lindsay?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Romanovich?
Yes.
Mr. Troisi,
Yes.
Ms. Barron,
Yes.
Mr. Panza.
Yes. Okay, well, that motion passes, and now at this time, I guess we'll turn the meeting over to the mayor and let him tell us what's going on.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, on March 15th to 17th, I'll be attending a conference up in Penn State. It's called the Pell Res Conference. Also in attendance is going to be David Ray, Mr. Lindsay, Mr. Romanovich, and Judy Miller. That's about employment in municipal law, because you have civil service. That's a unique area of law in regarding employment. You have union contracts. So it's, they put it on every year. I've attended, but it was 10 years ago when I was a council member. But this is very helpful, and it's an excellent conference. Next, the Special Olympic Polar Plunge. We had 5 police officers participate in that Special Olympic Polar Plunge, and the 5 officers raised $5,600 for the Special Olympics. So we thank those 5 officers for participating. As indicated, the chief did resign. He actually made 7 years, but close for 6, but he made 7. We're going to miss him. He was very community-oriented. So currently, until further notice, Lieutenant Rannigan is running the police department. But council's going to come up with a plan on how to go about hiring a new chief, and I do hope the new chief does last a long time and is as active as Chief Cleary was. And we thank Chief Cleary for his service. The Fireman's Ball was in February. That's always a good activity. I believe all council members were present, plus Judy Miller was present. So we thank the firemen for inviting us to that Fireman's Ball. And since we passed that ordinance tonight, I anticipate we'll get invited next year also. Thank you. In regard to 2 more things here, I went to a second funeral home in regard to the McKeesport police officer who was killed in the line of duty. I'd also gone to the funeral home in regard to the other police, the chief that was killed. So hopefully I don't have to attend any more funeral homes in regard to police. And lastly, I'm not going to give up on the emergency management plan. So hopefully we get an emergency management plan, because as Ms. Short pointed out last time, accidents do happen, that you need hazardous response. Just in East Palestine, we know that that happens. So we have a railroad here, so we want to proceed with the emergency management plan for the borough of Green Tree. Thank you. End of my report.
Thank you, Mayor. Next, we move on to the report of the committees. Finance and General Policy, Mr. Troisi.
I have no report at this time.
Okay. Next, Infrastructure, Mr. Romanovich.
No, thank you, Mr. Vice President. Rook Stairs should be wrapping up within the next month or 2 for the demolition of that location. We're getting ready to start into our spring and summer months, so I'm asking everybody to keep an extra eye open for our road crews as they're out maintaining our beautiful borough here. Let's make sure we protect them. And road paving should be on the next meeting list for us in the upcoming weeks here, Mr. Vice President. That's all I have.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So next would be Planning and Zoning, Mr. Ray.
Planning and Zoning, the Planning Commission continues to work on the comprehensive plan. They're nearing completion of that, and we should be seeing a draft of that soon. I sent an email to council, I believe, regarding deer population. I think that's something we may want to look at. There seems to be a significant increase in the deer population, and while there might not be as many vehicular accidents, because I think the deer are becoming smart and not running out in the middle of the road, there are other concerns, safety concerns like Lyme disease and destruction of natural vegetation that could affect honeybees and all that kind of stuff. So something I think that we should at least study to see if there is certainly a problem. And then again, I'd like to congratulate Jesse for being the chair of the Planning Commission. And that's the end of my report.
Thank you. Next, we move to Public Facilities and Equipment. Ms. Barron.
Yeah, I have a few things tonight. First, I want to thank the Garden Club for being here tonight. You really did put forth a lot of effort and for your detailed plans and ideas. And I do know that I speak for all of council up here tonight that we apologize for the radio silence that you experienced. And I did reach out to Mr. Mauer, sorry, as soon as I was given the proposal. And we do have a date to meet on the 20th, like they said earlier. And I do promise that radio silence will not happen again on my watch. Feel free to always reach out to me with Garden Club concerns. You do a lot for our community. I think, again, I speak for everyone up here. Our volunteers are really what make Green Tree an extraordinary community, that we have so many dedicated volunteers who give their time and effort and love and attention to make this community the best that it can be. So we really appreciate it, and I look forward to talking with you on the 20th. The next thing I have for everyone is some updates on the field usage. So my committee did meet with Ms. Miller back in February to discuss field usage, which we have been discussing at a lot of our meetings. The previous procedure for field usage really just kind of let all decisions go to our manager. But after hearing community concerns and hearing about what people want to use our fields for, we really wanted to work on making a procedure that reflected those needs. So the committee did meet in February to discuss field usage and set some parameters around the usage and fees for the following fields. So it would be Hemlock 1, Hemlock 2, Aiken 1, Aiken 2, Wilson Baseball, and the concession stand. As the year progresses and we see how this procedure works out, then we can gather together again, and we may see how this process can be contributed to other facilities, including the Aiken soccer field, Hale, Wilson soccer, the deck, and the gym. All of those other things can come later. But the fields, knowing that it is the springtime, that this was the most #1 thing that we are hearing in our community. So all field usage is going to be booked through the borough offices. And for the following 3 community groups get priority for field usage. The borough being the first, so all of our recreation and all of the great things that happen on our fields and all in our parks get planned first. That is already happening and will continue to happen. Along with the Green Tree Athletic Association is setting their spring schedules currently right now as we speak. They're probably already set. And then anything from the Keystone Oaks Athletic Association and Garden Angel Academy. So the 2 schools that we set. That is already in the works. That's always already happened. There's no change to that. But then, beginning on April 15th, the fields will then begin to be made available on the first-come, first-served basis for reservations for Green Tree residents, Green Tree nonprofits, and Green Tree business leagues. Green Tree residents, Green Tree nonprofits, and Green Tree businesses for private use. So say I wanted to throw my son's softball couple of hours on the soccer field, we could do that. Non-resident leagues and non-resident individual private use. So this was all based on what requests had come through in the past or what we knew were happening on the field outside of these outside of any process, because there wasn't a process, there wasn't a procedure before to kind of set this in motion for the borough. So there will be some usage fees for these groups. For residents, it would be $25 an hour for 2 hours minimum, with a daily max not to exceed 240, I think, or 250. I might be wrong. I might have typed something wrong. And the max monthly of $500. For non-residents, that would be $75 an hour for 2 hours minimum. We have also examined that sometimes lights are requested. So if a resident would like lights on the fields and requested, that would be $70 an hour. Or $150 an hour for a non-resident use. Concession stand usage would be could be permitted with a minimum of $100 for 4 hours, so they would have to want to use the concession stand for 4 hours, with an additional $25 an hour after that minimum. There would be special consideration given to tournaments that have entrance fees. So in the past, we have had folks from our community, outside our community. Usually it's like a mix of people, with some people who belong in Green Tree, others who do not, who have hosted tournaments on our fields. We've never had a process in the past that captures, who is hosting those, what they are charging for these tournaments. That often, it's like a team would have to pay an entrance fee to participate in a week-long tournament, and then none of that money was coming back to the borough for use of our fields. So with having a process in place that would have tournaments, that would be examined in the process. Special consideration would be given to events and tournaments, and the borough would reserve the right to assess a fee that is based on the entry fee for the tournament and the length of the tournament. And that would be barring that the field was actually available to be used during the entire time that they'd want it. You will put forth an application, and then that would be set on the calendar that someone would have this. All of the fields will be put on our new website. That is another layer of the website that will be forthcoming, so people can see when fields are available for use and when they are not. And then that way, we have a transparent way to see what fields are being used, and the borough has established a process so that we know who is on our fields and what they're being used for, and then the borough gets the money to help maintain those fields, because it is a cost, and it is, we want to keep the cost minimal, especially for residents, but we have great parks and it does take money to use them. So we do anticipate for the borough to see how this process plays out in the spring, and then we will be able to make any changes to it, adapt it for the fall. And we anticipate the fall scheduling for those 3 entities that I mentioned previously, the borough, our schools, and the Green Tree Athletic Association, to be finalized by July 30th, and then it would open up for public requests beginning August 16th. And so then we would anticipate that we'll be able to continue this on a rolling basis. I mentioned in our last meeting that we are meeting at least 2 times a year with Green Tree Athletic Association, who is our #1 user of our fields, twice a month for a field coalition meeting that helps us understand what their needs are, what our needs are as a borough for the year, and we'll continue to set forth this. That's it in a nutshell. I do have just some small updates on the library. Today marks the kickoff of the Tiny Art Show. You can pick up supplies at the library. And the library has begun an ESL conversation group that meets monthly. The next meeting is on March 18th. And this group meets once a month and is really open to everyone to practice English, meet neighbors, learn about Pittsburgh and different cultures. And this is funded through the NASRI grant money that the library receives every year. So I hope that answered a lot of questions. I hope that it will go smoothly. I'm looking forward to seeing how this new process works.
That all sounds very good. Just one recollection, when we purchased the Aiken Fields from the school district, I think as part of their agreement, there was some written language about the school's use.
Yeah.
And I don't know, were you aware of that, and did you review that specific language?
We did not review that specific language in this, but we know that we do have that agreement, and that is why the school does get priority usage. So they get into the lump of us, the borough, us meaning the borough, the schools, and the Green Tree Athletic Association.
So That, it was, I think we purchased that for $157,000.
Something like that, yeah.
And it has to be used towards capital improvement projects, which could include HVAC projects and things that, so I went to the school board meeting and asked that, in the spirit of community building and, you know, that land was purchased as a park, that if they could use that money potentially to upgrade the playground equipment or upgrade the, you know, the space, the green space there behind the school.
It'd be very good. But I think it would, maybe it would best, just to review that language, have someone pull it, just to be 100% sure.
Yeah, we can do that for sure. And this is just definitely, it's a process. It's not any, we're not changing any ordinances already exist. It's just helping the borough and building some transparency and who uses our fields and gaining some of that, that money back that takes to use those fields.
No, I think it's an excellent idea.
Yeah, thank you.
Is
And that's
that
it.
all
That's
you
my
have?
report.
Okay, next we move to public safety and equipment. Mr. Lindsay,
I'll drop the equipment part.
okay?
The only thing I have to add, we touched on it briefly, obviously, the committee will be meeting in the coming weeks to discuss next steps for the filling of the chief of police position, and we're still short a police patrolman position that we're still working towards too. So, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
That's all?
Yep.
Under my committee, I just have one item, and then I guess that should be the end of the meeting. The item would be, once again, I was asked about the railroad bridge over the Parkway West. Who inspects it? You know, who controls it? Who keeps an eye on it? And I believe I was told, and Mr. Lindsay, maybe you can help me on this, that the railroad themselves.
It's federal property, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but it's our cars that we drive under their federal property. Were we told they were being inspected by the railroad itself?
I think Dan Deasy looked into that for us. I believe that property's in Scott Township.
Yeah.
Dan,
The bridge itself's outside the community.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
in Scott.
So it really
It's federal.
then really shouldn't be our concern. So
Well, it's a concern because we all drive.
We all drive on it.
No, I know. It's just, everyone keeps saying like, well, who's looking at it? And everyone's saying, well, we assume someone's looking at it, but then who actually is looking at it? And if it's the railroad looking at their own stuff, they said there might have been an incident in Ohio that could relate to, you know, their own inspections. Okay, so that's nothing, I guess, your committee would like to take on, Mr. Lindsay.
We got enough on our plate. Thank you.
Okay. Well, that's all I have, and the president really said he had nothing, nor did the manager really have anything, so can I ask someone?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, motion second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's the end of the meeting.
Gotta go.